My interest in leather crafting actually started from a passion or an interest in watches, wrist watches, back in 2017. And one of the ways of upgrading my collection of antique watches is to create watch straps. To purchase a watch strap, I was seeing costs of $80 to $100 for a nice leather strap. And when you look at them, they look rather simple. And I thought, maybe I could make them. And what I quickly learned is that they're actually very, very difficult to make. They're very intricate and strict on shape and size. What I did, I made some watch straps to upgrade some of my watches in my collection. And ultimately, the next problem to solve was getting a new wallet. And after decades of being let down by store-bought wallets that only last, say, 3 to 5 years, again, the challenge poked up to say, can I make myself a nice, high-quality leather wallet? Which I did. I made a traditional men's bifold wallet, which I still carry to this day, 6 years later. And that's what really sparked the interest in doing leathercraft. I've always loved the material, certainly the smell of it, but I got the bug that way. There's a lot of different sources of inspiration in the leathercraft community. My interest largely comes from problem solving, finding a useful purpose, whether it be a valet tray, a keychain, a wallet, a bag. Typically, those are the things that interest me, but I also get inspired by certain types of leather. It's interesting how the colors, the texture, its flexibility almost asks to be made into certain type of objects. And that's helped me to actually make different type of items that I've never made before. Some of the challenges are actually using scraps of leather. And sometimes I'll just see certain shapes out of a certain leather and I'll get inspired to make it. Like, for example, these flower keychains. These were just basically little punches, and one day I was just playing with different scraps and different shapes, and it sparked an idea, and I've made a few different varieties, and I think it'll be a permanent part of my collection. The wallets that I'm really most proud of are the ones that use old silk ties that I find at antique stores or even Goodwill, and I make them into card wallets that have that unique silk design that you can't get anywhere else. I see myself as more of an artist, not producing hundreds and thousands of products a month, a year. I lean more towards geometry than I do nature for my products. I do have a brand. I'm satisfied with the Bellworks name, the Bellworks symbol, and I see these as paving stones to what could be a business after I retire in 10 years from my professional career. So I continue leathercrafting because it fulfills a creative outlet that I didn't realize was missing. And once I started to develop and create through leathercrafting, I found that my entire life was more balanced. I could actually think and accomplish more at work on my technical side, my technical role, by being able to work on creative objects on the off hours. And what I find is by relaxing the brain, by creating these creative projects, it actually frees the other part of your brain and you develop solutions for what you couldn't resolve on the on-time hours. It's very relaxing, and ultimately, if you can get into a state of flow, that is fantastic. That's where basically time escapes itself, where I could be stitching for an hour, but it only feels like 5 minutes. If you can get into a state of flow, it is absolutely one of the best parts of leathercrafting or any hobby whatsoever. There's a different part of the brain that responds if you can get into that state. Once you're done the product, it's almost like, okay, done. Now I have it, and then it's on to the next challenge. And that's what's actually satisfying. is developing the problem and then actually developing the solution. Once it's done, there's a thirst to find another challenge.